is it to get to a destination when the person you are at the destination is not the person you want to be? I wish what the scripture said is because of Jesus on the cross, good news, you never have to worry about grief and sadness. God is on our side.
All right, for those of you who are saw me earlier in the service, I know you're watching online, you might not have. I had a different outfit on. And some of you are like, what is going on here? So Sam, our youth pastor, he was like, hey, listen, I'll give you $100 to sport this shirt right here, okay, and wear his pants. And so this is it. This is my look right here. This is it. So $100, baby, wherever you are. Where is he? Where is he? But you know what, though? Honestly, though, let me do this. Okay. It's too high. It's too high. It's a little too capri pants here. But you know what? It is an honor for me to represent our youth because they are doing an amazing job. So I just want to give some credit where credit is due. Can we just give it up for Sam and his team? Can we do that? He's walking in right here. Awesome, bro. Awesome. Hey, by the way, you got the 100? Okay, whatever. All right. But it is an honor to do that, and it's really great to have a guy like him come in and to be a part of a foreign land, because I don't know if you've noticed, he has an accent. And those of you who are visiting for the first time, you're like, okay, I love the name of this church called Mosaic, and let me just see how diverse it is. And when you walk in, you're like, okay, this is seriously diverse. And guys, that's what we're about. We want to do that. And so we're going to have all kinds of languages happening here and all that. And some of you guys are like, what are we doing? Well, we're getting ready for heaven. You know, that's pretty much what we're trying to do, because it's going to be one international party. If you haven't heard, that's all tongues, all tribes, all dancing, all kinds of stuff. And apparently the shirts are going to be there too. Let's just say heaven on them. But hey, glad to be here. Ash and I, we were in Mexico last week. Yes, got some tan on. It's good. You're like, okay, you're brown, bro. You're still brown. I get it. I still got a tan. Okay, I still did. But it was a good time. It was a good time. But we did get sick. Ashley mostly got sick, but for a day, you know. But it was a good trip. What was memorable about this trip? So many things. But for me and for our conversation this morning, I think it's that this trip was unique for me because I genuinely wanted to meet other people, new people. Now you're like, Naeem, you're in the people business. I know. But some of you guys, let me just say, some days I'm tired. I don't want to meet anybody new. I'm like, have you been there? Have you ever gone to a vacation and you're like, if you're in the people business or you deal with people, what do you not want to deal with? People. You don't want to deal with people. But this trip, I don't know what it was. I mean, it started off like the ride from to our rental place in the van with the family. They were Indian, and I kind of thought maybe they spoke the language, so I just threw out some Hindi, and they're like, "Oh my gosh!" and they didn't do that. But anyways, but they did give us a really lukewarm bottle of wine that they got from, I guess, first class. They're like, have this. I'm like, why? Like, what? No, have it. And I'm like, yes, ma'am. I'll take it. You know, we took it. But then I met an Iranian guy on the beach, and then I met this lady from Albania, and this group of friends from California. I don't know. I just felt like everywhere I went, I was like, hey, what's your name? Hey, how are you? Hey, I was introducing myself, sitting with strangers, just having a great time. And I was like, this is awesome. I also had that thought, like, maybe, am I that guy now, that older guy who, shut it, don't even, Maya, no. Am I that guy, like, oh my gosh, Dad's gonna go see everybody, you know? I'm like walking on the beach, like, hey, how are you? Hey. But it was so much fun. I'll tell you why it was so good for me and why it's important for us, I think, is because I think sometimes we are alike. And we go on vacation sometimes and we are like really refreshed. And I went there refreshed already. But I remember like a couple of years ago, that I remember going to Mexico and in the van ride to our place. And then I was not in that place. I was in the place of like, I am burnt out. I am done. I don't want to talk to people. I distinctly remember, okay, sitting there with my lonesome. I just want to be in my zone here. Ashley was not in the same space with me. And so she started a conversation. And then I heard my name. And then I heard, oh, he was born and raised in Pakistan. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. Don't tell my story. No. Because I know what's going to happen. What's going to happen is all of a sudden, hey, Naeem, and tell them your life story. I'm like, I did not want to do that. I did not want to talk to anyone. And I wonder, like when we go on vacation, is it where we get to a point where like, I just need out. I need out and I got to get out of there. And I wonder if that's healthy for our soul. Like, isn't it good to just take vacation or take some time away when you don't really need it? You're like, why would we even do that? Because that's how you and I were wired up. And today, a Memorial Day weekend, which is a very special weekend. It's not just like a holiday. It's us pausing to remember people who gave their lives. And I know people here in our community who served. And I just want to say, I want to honor you. I don't know if you've done that. Should we do that again? I want to do that again. Can we do that? Can we just honor the brave men and women? Yes. I went through a war, and man, the U.S. military, saved like my family, and so I'm continually indebted to them. But it's good to have weekends like this where we stop and remember, or stop and just celebrate, or stop and just take a break from work. But man, I wonder if there's a way for us to actually create a new practice in our lives, a practice of not burning out and then going on vacation and trying to like recoup everything. Like, is there a better way out there? I think the big difference for me from this time to last time was like this time I've learned this practice of really like honestly pausing and pacing in life. And if you don't get anything, that's what I'm going to be talking about. The art of it, the necessity of it, the need for it, that you and I were wired to do that. That you and I were wired to not always go. That's not where we're supposed to be. And if you find yourself just tired emotionally, spiritually, relationally, just like people, oh my gosh, if you find yourself there, I don't know if I can tell you this, but you were never supposed to be that kind of person. Like, you were not supposed to burn out every time and then finally, you were not supposed to live for the weekend. You were not. You're not supposed to work, and then, And so, could I just speak to that to you? Because I think for so many of us, it's affecting other things in our life. It's affecting our relationships. It's affecting our purpose. And we're just going. So here is what Jesus says. This is Jesus' words, but this is a paraphrased translation. It's Matthew 11. We'll put it on the screen for you. It says this: are you what? Are you tired? You're like, how many? How are you tired? Yes. Worn out? And he says burnt out on religion, as in just religious stuff, like stuff you have to do. I'm so encouraged by all of you here in this room because I'm like, man, it's raining, it's a holiday weekend, no one wants to come out. But there's something beautiful about when we gather together. He says, are you burnt out on religion? And then he says, come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. Like, could it be possible that this weekend you take back your life a little bit? Just a little bit. He says, I'll show you how to take a real what? Real rest. A real rest. Walk with me. That's the rest. Walk with me and work with me and watch how I do it. Learn this is a cool phrase, right? The unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. Could we just stop and go, what would life like that look like? Whew. Like, wow, what is that? What does that look like? Jesus is inviting us into a life that's counter to the life you and I live, the culture you and I live. He's asking us to walk into a reality that does not exist in the quote unquote real world, but in a different world. What would it look like for you and I to do everything that we do, everything that we have to do, but we do it lightly and freely? What does it look like for us to understand these unforced rhythms of grace that Jesus wants us to experience? What does that even look like? I believe, like I told you, I think it is learning the art of learning allowing ourselves to pause and to pace ourselves in life. It's this practice that you and I have to put in place. See, so many of us, the reason why you are where you are, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, it's not just because the way you're wired up. It's in fact can be traced back to the habits that you are in right now. Some of the things that you are doing right now is causing you to be the kind of person you are right now. And if you would just like stop blaming yourself and you're like, why am I such a horrible person? Why can I not do this? Or why can't I do this better? Why? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? If you could just stop and take the blame off of you and just put it to your habits, you'll find freedom in there. You could just discover that there's just some things you are doing that you just need to stop doing. And if you just stop doing those things, it would change the kind of person you are. And if you would start doing some things, it would change the kind of person you are. So let's talk about the first idea, about this idea of pausing. Pausing. What does that look like? Well, for some of us, it just means to stop. So turn to your neighbor and just say, just stop. Just stop. Just stop. Okay, some of you guys are like, I've been wanting to say that for a while. Now, some of you, this is an attitude, like, just stop. Okay, did I hear just stop already? Did I hear that? Did I hear that? Just stop. Okay, now that you've done that, now look at you inside of you. Inside of you, and you go, just stop. Just stop. Like, stop this crazy routine that you've gotten yourself into. By the way, you're still talking to yourself. Stop attending everything you can. Stop accomplishing everything you can. Oh, that's tough. Whew. Stop spending all that you earn. Stop posting everything. Heresy. What? Just stop. But Naeem, I can't stop. I can't do it. I just can't do it. People what? Need what? People need you? Right? You're like, yeah, people need me. Just stop. No. I can't stop. I can't stop. So because if you stop, you change your identity. What? You just stop. You just stop. See, here's what God said. God tells the his people that he wants to give an example to the rest of the world with. So he interacts with a particular group of people in a particular time in history, the Israelites. In the book of Exodus, he begins to show them that you have to come out of slavery and become people, humans. And the book of Exodus is great because it talks about exiting the past, leaving this idea of that you are a slave to everything else. So if you don't know that part of Jewish history, they were enslaved. And when they moved out, when Moses took them out, they began to live as free people, but they did not know how to. And so God began to tell them, this is what it means to be human. And so one of the things he tells them in chapter 20, he brings this idea of a Sabbath. A Sabbath, he says here, let me read this to you. It says, observe the Sabbath day and keep it what? Holy. Work 6 days and do everything you need. But on the what? Seventh day, it is a Sabbath to God, your God. Don't do any work, not you, nor your sons, nor your daughters, nor your servants, nor your maids, nor your animals. What? They don't do anything anyways. You feed them. That's all we do. They don't even listen. Anyways, okay? Not even the foreign guests visiting your town. For in 6 days, God made heaven, earth, and sea, and everything in them. He rested on the seventh day. Therefore, God blessed the Sabbath day. He set it apart as a holy day. So many things happening here. Right now, when we read this, we have a different context, obviously, because we don't live the time they lived in. Just imagine if you could, people, your family, you always did something. This was a part of tradition, and your tradition was caked into who you are, how you were raised, and you guys always did a certain thing. And one of the things that Israelites always did is they always worked. Why? Because they were slaves and servants. Their identity was connected to how much they would produce. Did you hear that? They were slaves. If they don't produce, they don't matter. They're not worth anything. When they were bought by their owners, they were bought by this idea of how much could you what? Produce. If you couldn't produce, you're not a good slave, you're not a good servant, you're not a good worker. And so they have grown up with generations of their identity caked into what they do. And for some of us, we might not be held as slaves, but we are slaves to the system of work, aren't we? We're slaves to like this pressure of you better be successful. You better make something happen. You better accomplish stuff. You better live the best life. You better do this. Because if you don't do anything, you're not worth anything. And you're not identified as someone who's important. Because we have to do. And God right here says, hey, I need you to pause. And here's what I need you to understand. You are human. You are human. You're not doing this. Slaves do this. You're not doing this, and here's what I'm doing. I'm doing, and I'm showing you how to do it. I could accomplish everything. I, as God, could post everything. I could attend everything. I can do anything. I can keep on working for eternity. I don't even sleep. I don't even need it. No Red Bull for me. I got it. I can keep on going all day, every day, I can make the days that I keep on going. I'm God. I can keep on. I can do this and do this and do this. But as God, having the power to do anything, accomplish anything, I know how to say stop. I know how to create for 6 days and then walk away. I have the power to do that. And as humans, I'm giving you the power to do that. The power to do so much amazing things, to create something so beautiful and then go, it's done. I can walk away. Now, I like to dabble in the arts, and I'm like, not the arts as in art, like visual arts, like arts? No, visual art. Okay, so when I create something, some of you guys are like, oh, yeah, okay. But if you know something, if you create something, or even if you're decorating a room, right? How long do you gotta do the look back? Like, no? Okay, we'll fix something. You tweak it, you tweak it. If you love creating something, you tweak it nonstop. I mean, I've had to literally take a canvas and go away. Because every time I walk by, I'm like, I got to change something there. I got to do this. I don't have the power just intuitively to walk away, to stop. Based on your personality, you will work yourself to death. And you will work yourself to death, but you'll also work and to bring death to the most important things in your life. You will work, and you will not pause. And Sabbath is about just pausing, just taking a breath, like just pause. In fact, back in those times, farmers were told the 7th year, you don't do anything. Like 6 years, you plant and do the things, but your 7th year, you take the day off. You just do. And God put it in us. So if you find yourself just tired, if you find yourself like mentally exhausted, you find yourself like going, I don't know why I keep doing these bad things, or I don't know why I do keep doing things incorrectly. I don't know why I don't have the passion in my life. I don't know why. It's because you are not pausing, my friend. You are not pausing. You're just going. And here's the thing. I know, I can relate. I love to just keep going. But the one thing that if the COVID did anything for me, it's taught me the power of just pausing, because it was paused for me. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're watching TV and then it just freezes. And you're like, son of a what? How much do I pay for this thing? And it's just stuck. COVID did that. Everything just got. And you're like, what do we do now? People are like, oh gosh, I got to talk to my kids. What do I do? Dang it. What do I do? My neighbor, okay, let's figure it out. Let's have this conversation. Like, we had to find some other things to do. For me, I think it just broke something in me. It's a good thing. It got me off the treadmill. And so I just wanted to tell you that the most spiritual thing you can do is just learn the practice of pausing. And by the way, coming here is a beautiful ritual in learning how to pause. Let me say it again. Attending church, maybe even watching, creating time, a space on Sunday or whenever the day is, that you go, I'm going to focus on something spiritual. I'm going to focus on being in a spiritual community. I'm going to focus on that. That, my friends, that is a ritual which is so life-giving, and that produces this practice of truly pausing in life. Have you ever heard of the term liminal? Liminal is a Latin word, and it's how some people define actually moments. So there's significant moments and all that, but liminal moments are moments in life where the word itself means threshold. But let me explain to you. So you have a moment. It's a moment before a moment. Let me explain. It's like when I ask you a question. Okay, the moment I ask you a question, that is a moment. I just asked you a question, and then there's some space, and then you answer the question. Make sense? It's like me. I'm here, right? We're here inside, and then I'm going to walk past that door and go to the other space. But in that space, between here and there, it's called a liminal moment. And these liminal moments are thresholds before the next thing. Now, you're like, what does that have to do with anything? Pausing allows us to be in that space, a threshold space, long enough to consider what we're getting into and what we're not wanting to get into. Make sense? Now, liminal moments actually exist in the Old Testament. You're like, how? Well, when you read the Old Testament, if you do, you'll hear like conversations that God has with people. Let's talk about Moses. Okay, just say Moses. And it'll say, God said, da, 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 da. And then the writer would say, and then Moses said, da, 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 da. Whenever in Jewish writing, when it says, God said, whatever, and then it waits, and then says, and Moses said, there's a time and space between that. We read it as one conversation. It's never one conversation. When you see the phrase in the Old Testament, God said, Jacob said, God said, so-and-so said. When the writer is saying that there is space between that, that means it's not one conversation. It's not one day. They're not sitting in a room. It's not happening. It's not that. There's space. God, in our conversations in our interactions with us, wants us to remember that there is a space between what he said and what you're going to decide to do. What he said and how you're going to respond. And that space is sacred. It's a threshold space. I'm going to mull this over. It's, my friends, a place of pause. And for some of us, we don't. We just run to the next room. We run to the next conversation. We run and run and run and run and run and run and run. And some of you guys are running so much. You're never pausing. And guess what? You're not just tired. The people around you are what? Tired. They're just tired. They don't want to say it, but they're tired. They're like, could you just stop? Why is this so spiritual? It's spiritual for the reasons I mentioned, but even more than that, look at what the psalmist said. The psalmist David says in Psalm 46, he says, be what? Still. Be still and know that I'm God. Basically, he's saying, you want to know God more? You need to pause more. You're like, I just wanted to be more spiritual. No, you need to stop more. You just need to still yourself more. Well, Naeem, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. I like to just keep on going. But God is saying, you want to know me? It's those threshold moments between one task and the next task. It's the one meeting to the next meeting. It could be a drive to the next meeting. It could be the whatever. That threshold is a threshold that you need to keep sacred. And so, I think, generally speaking, I would say that this is a liminal moment, a threshold moment between what's going to happen next week. And for some of us, you just live for the weekend, we rush, and boom, oh God, it's Monday, right? Why do we have that reaction? Because we have not practiced pausing. We've not taken seriously this idea of a threshold moment. So, Sabbath, a day for you to kind of divide up what you do and the next thing you're going to do, the next week you're going to have. It could be on Sunday, it could be on a Wednesday, it doesn't matter. Make sure you practice this. If you want to know God more, you have to be still long enough to hear him. All right, the second thing. The second is this idea of pacing. Pacing, okay? Not just pausing. Pausing means stop. Pacing is a little different, okay? Now, we live in NASCAR country, don't we? Okay, we do. We live in NASCAR country, and apparently on 77, people think we're always on NASCAR racing. Like those of you from out of town, I don't know about you, if you have a highway like that, I mean, people crazy. Like they're crazy, especially when there's so much traffic and they're coming around you. I'm like, you're gonna stop 2 seconds later, bro. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Like, I mean, and I don't know how you act with the people. Like, I don't know if you call them names. None of you do. But I'm like, bro, I'm always talking to them. I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Hey, don't do that. Like, I'm goofy with them because if I'm not goofy, I get angry. And I don't want to do that. I'd rather not do that, right? I'd rather not do that. But how many of you just love the idea of speed, right? How many of you really love the idea of speed, right? When's the last time you got a ticket, right? Yeah. Actually, on that note, that's your guys' first ticket. Yes. Hey, it's a rite of passage. Can I get an amen? It's a rite of passage. Can I get an amen? Yes. Also, we started to GoFundMe to pay for his ticket. No. Here's the thing about speed, though. Here's the thing about speed. I don't know about you, but I speed, but I kind of pace myself with other people to not get caught, right? Right? We pace. We pace. That way, if I get busted, I'm like, hey, listen, I was just keeping up with traffic. I don't know about, I mean, I know we were both going 102, but we were both going 102. Pacing, baby. I'm just pacing them. Here's the issue, though, is I don't know about you, but I do that with life. There are certain people in my life that they don't know this, by the way. That's the trick. I pace my life with them. You know what I'm talking about? Sometimes they're related. But you're like, okay, if they're married, I need to be married. If they got their kid, I gotta have a kid. They got a second, they got a first job, okay, first job. Second job, okay. They got a career job, I need me a career job. They got a side hustle here going on, making some money. Oh, I gotta do that. They're in the stock market. Oh, I gotta do that. Bitcoin's happening. Oh, I gotta get into that. Like whatever they're doing, you're doing. Some of these people are just people that have influenced you on social media. You look at them, you're like, I hate my life. I should be doing more. No one has ever gone through Instagram and went, I'm killing it. No one has ever had that thought. I'm killing it over here. So all I do is win. Yes. This is terrible. Oh, horrible pick. Filter, whatever. Do that. No. Oh, I'm terrible. Oh, God, why do I keep watching this? No. We pace our lives with other people. We pace. Here's what Jesus did, right? And Jesus, Luke records this, okay, for our benefit in chapter 5. He says this. He says this of Jesus. He says, Jesus often, what? Slipped away to be alone so he could pray. Like, if there was one guy who was on a time clock, it was Jesus. He lived for about 33 years. For 30 years, the boy doesn't do a whole lot that's recorded. There's this one thing when he was young, but that's about it. He doesn't do anything. I mean, if you knew you had 33 years and you needed to change reality itself, like you had to give all of us a weekend. That's why we have a weekend. Saturday, Sunday. That's why we have a weekend. If he was going to split time in half, if everything in the known universe was going to be centered around this guy and this event, and you had 33 years, first thing I'd be like, first of all, 33 years is not enough what? Not enough time. And then God says, and by the way, you can't do anything for 30. Oh my God. I got 3 years to get this stuff done. How many of you, there's no pausing and there's no pacing. I'm go, 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 go nonstop. I got to get stuff done. 3 years? Are you kidding me right now? No way. Nothing happens in 3 years. We've been in construction on traffic for 85 has been going on for 103 years. Nothing happens in 3 years. 3 years? No. 3 years? You can't do anything in 3 years. No. 3 years, I need more. And he, in the middle of that, would often what? Slip away and to be alone. This practice of his reveals that he was like, I'm not going to be controlled by the needs of other people. I'm not going to keep up with the speed of other people. That's not life. I'm not living life like that. And I'm not going to accomplish the things I need to accomplish if I don't pace. You see, when you pace, you begin to learn to ask yourself deeper questions. You move out of this idea of always accomplishing, getting the right answers, and doing that. No, you get into the questions, and the questions are the ones that we really never get to ask. The questions are like, hey, you know what? What's really, truly important in life? What's really, truly important right now? Right now, what does my family really need? What do my kids really need right now? You never ask that. You can't ask that if you're not pacing, if you don't slow down, if you don't take a breath. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? If you're speeding through life and you got other people in your car, by the way, they're throwing up. They're sick because you're just speeding. But you never go, hey, why are we doing this? Why are we going here? You never stop to ask, am I really enjoying myself? If you're not, then why are you doing it? I got to do it, Naeem. I got to do it. Really, though? Have you thought about it? I don't have time to think about it. Who are you trying to keep up with? Well, they just stuff just happens to them. They just get it done. I know, but they are not you. They're not you. And I'm listen, when I say this is harder for me because I don't like to say it, but I am competitive. Okay? I don't like the idea of being competitive. But people in my gym, they're like, oh, Naeem's always competitive. I mean, I'm not competitive as in being jackleg about it, but I want to do the best. I want to be the first. I want to accomplish the most. And it's rough for me to not look at someone else and not want to beat their score. It is tough. Especially in my head, I've convinced myself, I can do it. I can do it. I'm smarter than them. I'm whatever than them. I can do it. It's so tough. But if you don't learn to pace yourself with the purpose that God has put in you, friends, you'll never accomplish it. Did you hear that? You'll never accomplish it. If you don't learn to pace yourself based on the purpose that God has for you. If you pace yourself, you ask yourself, hey, does God want me to do this? Am I working on the right stuff? Oh my gosh, who am I becoming? Do I even like who I am right now? See, all of these questions come from this idea, this practice of pausing and pacing our lives. So I want to leave you with this thought. Could you just have a hit restart this weekend? And it's a holiday weekend, it's totally a washout, right? It's like I had plans and this and that. And yeah, but this is a perfect time. Like it's raining, there's not much to do. You could just take a moment and take 5 moments actually, but create thresholds moments. Create these liminal moments in your life where you just pause and go, before I get to the next, before I step into the next, let me just think a little bit. Just be quiet in my soul a little bit. What will that do to you? It will do wonders. Now, let me end with this. For some of you, you need this spiritually, deeply. Like you need this because you're in danger, and I don't want to scare you or anything. You're in danger of really not possessing all that God has for you. What I mean by that is, I think for some of us, you are burnt out spiritually. Like you, and we'll talk about this later on, but some more next week. But like you used to be passionate, but you're not anymore. There's so much that you used to be, maybe. And spiritually, I think for some of us, this is the most you want to do. Like, I just want to come and attend and say, I did it. But besides that, I don't want to pray about stuff. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. This is the most of my spiritual activity. That's it. That's it. So if you find yourself there, let's go back to where Jesus is calling us. He's like, are you burnt out? Are you tired spiritually? Are you burnt out on religion? Let me just show you there's a better way out there. And friends, I'm telling you, there's a better way out there. Let me leave you with this passage. Psalms 119. It is one that blows my mind, and it always convicts me, it reminds me, and encourages me. Here's what it says. It says, I run in the path of your commands for what? You have set my heart free. He's like, I'm running towards your commandments. I'm running towards a relationship with you. I'm running towards all that you have for me. I'm running towards obedience. I'm running towards what do you want from me? I'm running to your commands. Like, first of all, who runs to commands? We run away from commands. So here, the psalmist is saying, let me just tell you, I'm in this state of mind that I'm running towards your commands. Why? Let me just tell you, I'm running towards them because you have what? You set my heart free. And for some of us, the things that we're involved in right now, the pace that you're on does not set your heart free. The nonstop, it doesn't set your heart free. So you and I, which I've been there, just binge watch everything and go, I'm going to feel better about this. And you're not. You have so much time off, but you have no rest. You don't live a free life. So could you imagine living this kind of life? A life that says, I'm going to run towards your command. I'm open for whatever life throws at me. I'm open to God, what you have for me. I'm open to this. Not because I'm tired, because you've set my heart free. And I'm like wide open spaces. I'm not confined by things anymore. I'm not. And so for those of you who go, man, I don't even know if I can live that. Is that a reality, really? Yes, it is a reality. It is a reality that you and I could step into. It's not more praying. It involves praying, but it involves you going, I'm going to practice this thing now. I'm going to practice this idea of always pausing, creating a threshold moment, and then knowing what I'm getting into. And when I get into that, I'm going to what? Pace. Pace based on my purpose, not on anybody else's speed. It's tough stuff to do, but it's a game changer for you spiritually. So let me pray for you. Can I do that? Let's stand together. Let's close our eyes for a minute. Can we do that? Close our eyes for a minute. And let's take a moment where do something significant with your hands. Just do something significant with your hands. Well, I don't know what it is for you, but maybe it is like I'm putting my hands out in front of me. I'm unclenching my fists. I'm maybe raising one hand up in the air as a sign of surrender. What are your hands doing right now? What are your hands doing right now? Lord God, I thank you for how you made us. And our hands symbolize so much of what we do. And we are so often defined by what we do. So right now, God, I just thank you. Right now, I just thank you for your hands, Lord God. Your hand over us. God, would you free us up? Would you hold our hand? Would we give up what we thought we needed to hold on to? God, I pray for some of us that today is a day where we give our lives back to you, our work back to you, our accomplishments back to you. We give up and this identity that we've created based on what we do, based on how fast we're going through life and how much we've accomplished. God, allow us to have this moment be a moment where you breathe on us, you rest on us, And God, as we respond today, I pray that as we go to the cross, maybe it's one of those liminal moments where we go, before I do put this on the cross. Maybe we receive communion, and before we partake of it, we go, maybe this is a moment. I just want to give space in my soul for God to invade. God, for some of us, it might be lighting a candle, reminding once again, before we light that flame, before it's burning the candle, there's something profound that needs to be whispered into us. So God, I pray, would you allow us to experience that?